What's up guys, it's Nicu and welcome to another video on this channel. I'm really excited to see you today, and for this one we're gonna build, as you probably know from the teaser, we're gonna build the projects page from one of my favorite digital agency studio called Malvah. Their website is a huge inspiration for me. I borrowed some ideas, and for today's video we're actually I'm gonna do this in multiple parts. We will cover these page projects called, and it's kind of like a menu, yeah. So we're gonna have a list of projects, and each one of them will have some information when we hover, and we're gonna have this image, and we're gonna respond and mouse, and then we're gonna build additional features like infinite scroll, yeah, and this great animation of the image. We're gonna have the mouse, the custom mouse that gonna react on different elements, and then at the end we'll build the responsive part of this page. Alrighty, let's see. And for part one we will start with mostly setting up our project, creating the DOM elements, placing them with the CSS, and then in the following parts we'll actually begin our fun journey. So I'm having here an array of objects, and each object is gonna have a URL to some kind of image, and then we have the title and some info about this project. So title, image, and some info on the right, yeah. So we will start by creating some components. So as you can see, we have here a sort of a header, we have here a footer, and then we have a body, yeah. So this body will be some project items, we'll call them. So let's create some components here. Footer, let's create a new folder for header, and let's create another folder for project item, and inside of each of them we'll have an index.jsx, a new file style.css, react function component, so project item, and let's import the style as CSS. Again, we're gonna do this for header, and for create this, let's see, header, let's import style as CSS. And for footer we'll also have index.jsx, wild SSS, and let's create a new function which is footer. Let's import SSS. Great. And now in our home container we'll do a couple of things here. Let's wrap this div into another div element. So let's save, and here we're gonna import the header, and down here we're gonna import the footer. Great. And next what we're gonna do is we will actually import the project item. So let's see, we have the data here, yeah. So what we're gonna do is we will iterate through each data map, and then we'll have the project item and an index, and we will import here the project item component, and we will pass the, let's see, the key to the index and the project, let's call it just a project. We don't need a project item, a project, and an index, item index. So let's go into our header, and here we'll create a new class name for this container. So overlay nav, and inside we'll have a new div with two h1s, and the h1 will say collab and the studio. And for this div we'll have a class name to be a header container. If we say we see something displayed there, so let's go and write the style for it. So for the overlay nav, we'll have the position fixed, a top of 50 pixels, a left of 70 viewport width, a box sizing of border box, and a z index of 1. Let's save. We see something displayed. And for the header container, we'll make it display flex, and for the h1s we'll have a cursor pointer, a margin of 0.20 pixels, and a transition, the opacity of 0.35 seconds to easy in out. Oh, so it's a 70, yeah. So it's a 70 viewport width. For our footer, yeah, we have here a pretty simple component. So class name footer container, and just we'll add a scroll here. And for the CSS, we'll make a footer container, position fixed, bottom 10%, left 70 viewport width, z index 1, display block, and let's make the text a little bit nicer, a font size 16 pixels, and the color of 5F. Let's save. So as you see, we have this text here. One important thing I forgot is to add our fonts. So in our home CSS file, the fonts. So we have our Poppins and our Space Grotesque. Pretty great fonts. So for our body, we'll have the font family Poppins, which is a sans serif, and the background color to be PG color. And here we define a white. So if we go to the studio, we hover, we see that the text turns blue. So let's go back to the header here, and we say that when it's hovering, we set the color to something, and this something is gonna be a CSS property or a variable, which is gonna be called main color. Yeah. So coming back to our home, here we define our variables. So in the root, we say that the main color is this blue, so 366 for E8. We hover and we see that the text changes color. Have to go to the project item here inside, and we'll create a few more components. One is gonna be for the image and one is gonna be for the text. So here in our project item, we're gonna have a new file for image.jsx, and let's create this a functional component, and one for the title. So title.jsx rfc. Let's save all of them. So in our title, we will have the title here, and we're gonna have the class name, the title item, and we will need it to be an h1. And let's give it a class name of menu title and the title. Yeah. And in our image, we will get the URL, and this is for now. And instead of this div, we'll return an image with this, with the source to be the URL. To the project, in our return method, we will, instead of the div, we will create a list, and inside we have the title component, which will, let's first get the project and project for item index. So here for the title, we'll pass the title, the project.title, and down here we'll call the image, and we will pass the URLs as project.url. We'll give a class name to the list item, so project item container, and we will also want to display all of these elements here. So in our div here, in our list, we have a new div block, and we'll create a new paragraph inside with a class name to be info block header, and here we'll have a span inside. I'm gonna use here the hash component, and then we will need to have a 0 and the item index. And let's give let's give this class name an info block, and next, below the header, we'll have the project info map, so elements, and we will return more paragraphs. Let's save. Here we'll have a span with element, and let's give the key element. Let's save. Great. Let's go back to our and check what we got so far. So we got the title, we got the image, and then we got the project info. Now we have to go and add these style sheets to make it pretty. So let's see. Project item container cursor pointer for later, a line height of 1.25, a padding between elements of 5 pixels. So we already see something. Let's add the title item to be position relative. So, and then for the image, we have the position fixed with the left of 45 viewport width. Yeah, so we are moving everything on the right there. And we're using this viewport width because it's gonna be easier on the responsive. So this is a relative value, yeah, a width of auto. And we want to clamp the width of, or the height of the image. So we will set a maximum and a minimum for the image, and then what it's between it. So we have a 200 pixels of minimum and a 220 viewport width of maximum, and everything between is a 220 viewport width. Yeah, and then we're gonna fit the image inside the container, and we will set the top. Let's put it back there. And then a pointer events of none. Let's save and go. And yeah, we have our images stacked on top of each other here. We gonna add the second font we download from Google Fonts. So sounds very grotesque, and we'll make it a quite big font size. So viewport width, font size, viewport width, yeah. A text transform lowercase, so we want them to be lowercase. A z index of 1, at the line height of 1.1. Let's see. And we got the titles big and nice. And for the info block, let me add it here. So info block, we'll set the position to be fixed, the top to be 50%, the transform be translate y minus 50%, and the left of 70 viewport width, z index of 1 again, text align left. Let's check. Yeah, so all of them are stacked here, and a font size of 20 pixels. Yeah, great. And for the info block header, we have a margin bottom of 20 pixels, a color of black, font weight 500, font size 24 pixels, and for the SVG we have a margin right of 4 pixels. Yeah, so we kind of see here, and the span of display flex, align item center, and for the paragraph in the info block, so for the all of the paragraph, we have a margin bottom 10 pixels, overflow hidden, later animation, a color 39, a span, display block, and the transition all 0.25 sec, easy in out. Yeah, and what we're left to do is to go back to our home, and in our main container we'll have an UL here, and I'll set the scroll behavior to smooth, a position relative, a width of 100 viewport width, a height 100 viewport height, padding left of 10 viewport width, a box sizing, a border box, and an overflow auto. This should be wrapped in an UL. So we've got our HTML structure set up. We have the text or the title, the project title. We have the images placed here, and here it's not seen, but let's go back to this one. Let's remove. Yeah, so we have all of our menu info. So basically this is for part 1. I'm waiting you to the part 2. See you.